back with more Buffy. This is episode 2 of season 7, and yeah, really excited to carry on and see exactly where they're going to start going with like plots and character arcs and stuff in this final season. Really, really loved the premiere, and the ending in particular is playing on my mind, exactly what that all means with all like some big bads from years gone by kind of taunting Spike, and why is Spike even in like the basement of this new Sunnydale High, and where on earth are we going next? I don't know, but we still have 21 episodes to find out, I guess. So yeah, really, really excited to kind of be delving further into this final season. As sad as that may be, I'm actually currently I'm more excited than I am kind of sad. I think that's going to come nearer the end of the season, as we only have like 4 or 5 more episodes left, you know? So for now, I'm just going to bask and enjoy every second, as I do tend to when it comes to Buffy. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the next one. Oh no. Is someone else going to get horribly murdered? Yes, I think so. Oh dear.
From beneath you, it devours.
Oh, don't!
Buffy! Buffy!
Oh.
There's more like her done.
Wow.
Out there, somewhere.
Oh. This is another fucking giant snake. Amy? Oh my.
Seriously?
Those kids are damn lucky having a Slayer and a friend on campus there for them. I hope they appreciate it.
Oh.
No, I did.
Oh. Awesome.
Days gone by, huh? She bounced back to being a vintage demon, and I bounced back to being a dateless nerd.
Do you guys talk at all?
Nerd.
You open that door and these students will eat you alive.
You heard about Principal Flutie, right?
Come on. Poor Principal Flutie.
Buffy.
I want to go back home just so I can screw up again. Why don't I stay? Not forever, just long enough to...
Wish I could stay.
Shut up. What if I give up all this control stuff and I go veiny and homicidal again? And what if...
They won't take you back.
Yeah, that's a real fear.
You may not be wanted, but you will be needed.
Oh,
You goddamn right.
Time again.
I thought it was pissing it down. Typical England.
Hello?
And whatever it was big.
The
and
dog.
Strong. Should we round up the gang?
Good thinking, except this is the game.
Look, Nancy, we're gonna get into this. And I promise you...
Willow's on her way.
Fortunately,
Oh, shit.
you got me.
He's bleached his hair again, so he means business.
New clothing, better hair.
Soul.
Not so much with the crazy, I like it.
If you think I like putting myself here, surrounded by people who don't particularly like me, you'd be...
Wonder why that is.
If you're... Well, you saw me.
You did? Guys, just a second, okay? Yes, I saw
And you
something.
didn't tell me?
You just forgot to mention it? Things are insane in the basement.
Oh, Dawn.
I saved your life. That seems to be the only time you let us in, Buffy. Whenever you want.
Now, in fairness to Buffy...
Shut up, Spike!
Okay, guys.
Oh, Nancy.
Everything about you is wrong, Spike. But something is coming.
Yeah. Still gonna take a lot to get over seeing red, I think. It's so weird. It's also very bizarre to see him in blue, like, colour.
She's a girl, and she's a friend, but she's not my girlfriend.
Xander? Little drool? Spike and I will check out the scene.
Oh.
Okay, in the biggest way...
Season 1 Xander would not have denied that.
Spike,
No.
if you hurt my sister at all, touch her, you're gonna wake up on fire.
Ooh. Good for you. Oh, fuck.
You tried to rape me. I don't have the words.
Neither do I.
Or me.
Can't say sorry. I've changed.
I believe you.
Well, that's something.
I just don't know what you've changed into.
I can be useful, because honestly, I've got nothing better to do. Make use of me if you want. And there's nothing here.
Why don't you want to tell her you've got a soul then?
Do you think I might instead give you a call sometime?
Just to check in?
No, actually, I'm hitting on you.
Even better, I'm very lazy.
And I'm really pushy.
Oh. Seems the dog wasn't enough. What? Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
You know the feeling that you get when your ex is constantly ruining every part of your life, and it just doesn't stop?
Yes.
And you get so tired of feeling helpless that all you can do is just wish that it would stop.
Wish, you say?
Wish?
And it's not
Oh, no.
Is this when you talk to?
I tell you what. Why don't we put a pin in it?
Oh, man. That's kind of funny.
Anya, that thing you created burst through solid pavement and ate her dog. Oh, puppy.
It's your sad place? People's lives are in danger.
I thought you were Xander's ex-girlfriend. I am. But you and Spike had a thing.
Didn't last.
But weren't you Buffy?
Briefly.
Never serious. Is there anyone here that hasn't slept together? Look. These are all bipeds. I just want to say for a run. Okay, guys, quick focus here for just a sec. This thing was like...
Slug-off king. Am I right?
Great big slug-off demon.
I didn't...
Now, you're going to turn the spell around like a good little vengeance demon, or...
Can she
What?
sense it?
Oh my god.
What are you staring at?
Wait, how did you get
I
it?
just said you shut up!
Fuck. Still not a brilliant person, even with a soul. Ooh, hello.
Round and round.
You haven't changed, Spike.
Oh dear. Oh, this feels a bit unnecessary.
As always. Up for another round of the balcony then?
Bloody hell. Is he just playing the part?
Nice friends you got.
Nice friends I had. Chums, co-workers, bridesmaids. Oh, I had the whole package until something fell apart. Look at that, Xander.
Oh man.
All I'm saying
I mean,
this happened.
little bit.
You dumped me at the altar.
And sooner or later, Anya, that excuse just stops working.
Whee! Oh no! Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh god, I can feel it now, yeah.
All this will come tumbling in death and screaming horror and bloodshed. From
Oh.
beneath you, it devours.
Oh.
From beneath, poor Rocky.
Not quite a Shakespeare sonnet.
You reversed the spell. You took guts. I know this is bad, but it could be worse.
Oh, it will be.
I like that we have like Anya and Spike both like feeling the consequences of their actions and stuff. And like having a conscience about it now. When they didn't. Way back when.
Didn't work. Costume didn't help. Couldn't hide.
Thought it was weird him wearing colours.
Solid through. Get it hard. Service to go.
Stop it!
Getting nothing hard, thank you. Fucking hell.
I tried to find it, of course.
Find what?
The spark. The missing... the piece. That fit. That made me fit. Thinking of you. Holding myself and spilling useless buckets of salt over your... ending. Angel, you should have warned me. Makes a good show forgetting, but
Buckets of salt over her ending. Is that him crying when she died?
all the time.
Your soul.
Yeah.
Bit worse for lack of use.
That's true.
You got your soul back. How?
It's what you wanted, right? It's what you wanted, right?
I don't know. I mean, you are still Spike, in a way.
What does a man do that he mustn't for her to be hers? To be the kind of man who would never...
Oh.
He will be loved. So everything's okay, right?
Oh, jeez. Ow.
Can we rest now? Can we rest?
Oh, shit. Okay, another brilliant episode. This season's off to a very, very good start. And they actually addressed a lot of things I was hoping they would after the first episode. Namely, we had another random woman get horribly murdered at the start, but this time they addressed it because it seemed Buffy dreamed it. So maybe she dreamed the one before, or she even said, like, oh, there are other women out there. So that's connecting somehow to whatever the hell is coming, this great thing in Sunnydale that's coming, and apparently it's not a giant worm, so that's good. But yeah, I'm intrigued by exactly what that all means and where that's heading. I'm guessing it's something to do with Slayers, since Buffy's dreaming about it, and she does have dreams about Slayers, but isn't it normally previous Slayers? And I think it's present day, isn't it, those two that have been killed? I don't know, but I'm guessing it's something to do with, like, being a Slayer, or they're connected to Buffy in some way, and that's why she's dreaming about them. That's a cool idea, if that's the case, and I'm looking forward to seeing that expanded upon. But I like that they did address at least a similar sort of situation to the opening scene in the premiere, because nothing kind of happened related to that for the rest of that first episode, but now it seems like it's kind of tied together a bit, so that's good. I like that. It would be a bit morbid if every episode this season just starts with this random woman get, horribly killed, but hopefully that will be a nice pattern to break, But still, they addressed that, so that was good. And might as well talk about Willow and Giles, because we only saw them very briefly, but Willow is on her way back, it would seem, to Sunnydale, which I'm all about, and I can't wait to see what everyone's reaction is going to be to her. And I love that she was kind of opening up to this fear that they won't forgive her and take her back. Even though the reason she even was won back from being Dark Willow in the first place was Xander telling her that he loved her no matter what, she's still afraid that that's not the case anymore, things have changed. And I think that's a very, very real kind of thing to go through. And we kind of saw Willow at her lowest into last season and her most evil, and now she's kind of like, can they really accept me and forgive me and move on with this? And Spike was pretty much at his lowest last season after seeing Red as well. Now he returned to Sunnydale, and it's a similar kind of situation. Can he be forgiven? Can he forgive himself now that he has a soul? It's a very complicated situation with Spike in particular, but I do like the sort of parallels they have going on there. With that. And yeah, I enjoyed Giles realising what Willow's real fear was, amongst all the other stuff she was kind of spewing out about what she was afraid of. But he was very supportive and he sent her on her way. So it was cool to see them both in this episode, however briefly, but it's going to play into a larger thing, I imagine, with Willow coming back. Hopefully in the next episode. I hope she's not like travelling for like 4 episodes now or whatever to get back. So yeah, I enjoyed their little scene, and it was a very relatable kind of fear, I think, that Willow was going through. Sometimes when you do something you regret, you always find it tough to face the people that you care about after that, because you're just like, can they ever see me the same way again? And they're always going to look at me in a different way, in a way that Buffy and Dawn and Xander certainly look at Spike. Well, Xander's kind of always seen Spike that way, but Dawn in particular I think stood out because she always used to come to Spike's defence and she liked to hang out with him and stuff. Then you get that scene, that amazing scene with her and Spike in this episode where she threatened him. That was great. I love that. Yeah, that was a great moment for her, just kind of saying, if you hurt her, I'll kill you. I love that because that's kind of just, you could take away her getting pissy at Buffy because, oh, you didn't tell me that Spike's back. Well, no one ever tells me anything. But when it comes down to it, she cuts all that shit out and, if you hurt my sister, I'll kill you. And I like that Dawn isn't just like the bratty teenager anymore that gets angry about every little thing. There is that real kind of love and passion in there for her sister. So I loved that moment, her standing up to Spike like that was great, considering what we'd seen of those two before in their dynamic. And it was like, basically, Spike, I think, was closest to being a friend to Dawn than anyone else in like the Scooby gang. Even when him and Buffy were kind of a thing, I wouldn't say they were necessarily any close to being friends. So the fact that Dawn is then the one, I guess she feels really betrayed by what he tried to do to Buffy, because she allowed herself to be quite, become quite friendly with him. So the fact that she was the one who said that to him was great. Because we've gotten that from Xander a lot. Xander's often threatened Spike's life, even in like as a jokey situation when he hasn't necessarily done anything terrible in that moment. So to see Dawn, who often jumped to Spike's defence, do that, it's another kind of example of showing how far Spike fell in seeing red and how far he pushed it, and that's kind of the events that led him to get his soul back in the first place. And now I think one of his big obstacles is himself and having to push through all this kind of thing. And I like that he mentioned Angel, that he should have warned me. That was really cool, because we've seen Angel have to come out the other side of a similar event. So I really do enjoy what that could mean and what they're doing with Spike still weighing up. Is he still going to be just a bad person? Because people with souls can still be awful and terrible people, still be evil. And we got kind of a bit of that with them kind of breaking it into a fight with Anya and Spike fighting, and then Buffy got involved. And I don't know how I felt about that bit. That felt a bit, I don't know. That did feel like they were fighting just for the sake of having a fight scene, and it was a bit of like forced drama. I don't know, that felt a bit, tacked on to me, I guess. I don't know. I can kind of see where they were coming from with that. But I feel like that was kind of more so... I don't know why Spike was so reluctant to not tell Buffy that he got his soul back, because he got it back for her. But I guess he was ashamed of the fact that he hadn't really dealt with it yet, and he hadn't overcome that hurdle, and it was still kind of tearing him up inside. I don't think he wanted Buffy to really see him like that. So when he was able to have this facade that he was fine and he was himself, that's when he went to and actually saw Buffy and was like, oh, I'm here to help, blah, 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 blah. And then Anya could see that he'd gotten his soul back, it would seem. That set him down that spiral again. He was like, oh God, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to accept this yet, because I haven't processed it myself. And I guess that's kind of what led him to start that fight with her and everything. So yeah, the whole Spike situation is kind of nuts. And that speech at the end, I loved it. I love that whole scene. It was a really well written speech. Talking about, that spark and trying to find forgiveness. And I like that we've seen Buffy find out Angel has a soul, and he had that little cross thing, didn't he, that burnt him. Then Spike, of course, Spike is like, screw you, Angel, I've got a big fucking cross that I'm just going to lean on to get burnt by. Go hard or go home. But I really like that imagery, that final shot of him like sizzling, having a nice little Spike barbecue on the cross. That was a great final image. But that whole speech was just really haunting. I love the lighting in that scene as well, and Buffy's reaction. She was just near tears for that whole thing. Maybe part of her was kind of thinking, oh my God, this is what Angel was going through, and she didn't get to witness that firsthand, you know, him trying to get past that, at least initially, the first time he got his soul back. So I guess that was quite hard for her to watch, knowing full well what Angel was really feeling when he got his soul back, and they must have talked about that moment so many times when they were together and stuff. So now she's seeing Spike go through that, and obviously quite painful to watch. And yeah, what Spike was kind of saying, you know, missing pieces and stuff like that in that speech, tying back to what he was talking, you know, he was talking to Buffy earlier. He was like, oh, something so big is coming that we look like puzzle pieces or something. So they're kind of like pawns, and it's an interesting way of kind of phrasing it, I guess. I just noted kind of a link between his two like big speeches in the episode, I suppose. And yeah, there's a lot to unpack with the whole Spike speech thing. I feel like that's a scene to rewatch again and again, to kind of pick apart everything that he was kind of saying. But I like the idea of him trying to justify what he's kind of going through now. How much of a punishment is it? Is it worth it? What has Buffy done to him again? So still that kind of aspect of him almost blaming her for his actions, like he did immediately after the attempted rape in Seeing Red. He's like, oh, what's she done to me? She's made me this way. I like that he's being able to challenge that, I guess, now, because he's going two sides about it. Because on the one hand, he's still kind of saying that sort of thing, but he's also like, oh, I can see and hear everyone, and those spirits in the first episode are kind of what wore him down and drove him a bit mad and stuff. So I'm really intrigued by the whole Spike situation and where that's going to go, but I think we're off to a good start with it. And I mean, I'm only ever going to probably move past that, deal with it, accept it, potentially forgive if Buffy does. I think it solely has to rest on her shoulders. I don't think, as someone who wasn't, you know, the victim in that situation, I don't think I really have the right to be like, oh, I forgive Spike for that. You know, oh, he's changed now, he's got a soul, I forgive him for that. I feel like that needs to be up to Buffy, and I think I'd follow her lead on that. But I am really enjoying his story, and I'm enjoying seeing him again, which after Seeing Red, immediately after that, I was fucking done with Spike. So they've obviously done some good there. And they've actually crafted an interesting kind of story for him to keep being in the show. And I think returning his soul to him is actually a very clever idea to do that. And it allows James Masters to do some really great stuff as well. So I'm really excited to see Spike's story going forward. And yeah, seeing Anya, bringing her into like the main plot again. They've done that very cleverly ever since they made her Vengeance Demon again. They still have really cool ways of bringing her into the main plot. So, you know, the kind of case of the week, I guess, with Nancy and the giant worm, which was gross looking, and a cool little design though. And the poor dog though. I did like that kind of thing, and that was a consequence of Anya casting this like vengeance spell on him, and that, you know, Xander worked it out that it was because of her. She got involved in the main action, then she realised that Spike had a soul again, and alongside that, along her just being brought back into like the main group so she could be part of the actual plot, in terms of character, she's still kind of having a conscience about how far she's pushing these spells, and De Hoffrin's still not pleased with her, Halfric's not pleased with her, but regardless of that, regardless of the consequences, she undid the spell when Xander kind of pleaded with her. And I like that she continued to call Xander out about, you know, oh, this is because of you leaving me the altar, you know, I had everything. I liked that. And I didn't agree with Xander kind of saying, you know, that whole retaliation. He said a few things, I was like, come on. It's like, oh, it's not my fault. That literally is your fault, mate. Played a part in it. But I kind of see his point when he was like, eventually that excuse isn't going to be good enough. You know, eventually you can't keep using that excuse. And I think, to an extent, that's true. And Anya did seem to kind of be one round when he said that. Not entirely, because he was absolutely wrong to leave her at the altar. And I think he knows that. But Xander isn't often one to say, I was wrong, I fucked up, I'm sorry. He might try once or twice, but then he's like, you know what, I'm done feeling bad about myself, because I always feel bad about myself. I feel like that's kind of how he sees it. He doesn't like to know that he's done wrong, or for us to think he's done wrong. So he'll be an arsehole at times, but that's a very kind of human response, I would say. But I like that Anya's still struggling to really commit to doing all these different kind of crimes and then undoing them as well, and all these spells, regardless of the consequences, because she has this conscience now, and I like that kind of paralleling Spike, and now he's kind of got this soul and a bit of a conscience, and he's feeling the weight of all his crimes over the years. And then when, was it Ronnie? When he got turned back to a human just as he stabbed him, that's when Spike started down that spiral again, because he'd hurt a human. He apologised, which was crazy. You don't often hear Spike say the words "I'm sorry," and yeah, that was a really cool way of linking those two characters, and the fact that, you know, the consequences of their actions can now be viewed in a different light than it would have done for them maybe 100 or so years ago, because now they have more of a conscience about it, because Anya has kind of started to learn a bit more of what it's like to be a human again. Spike's got his soul back. I really enjoy that aspect of it. So that was a cool little idea. I also liked when Spike took the blue shirt off. He's like, it didn't work, the costume didn't work. And, you know, you're so not used to seeing Spike wearing colours like that. And when you do, it's like that brown suit in Taboo the Raza. And for most of that episode, he wasn't really Spike, because he'd forgotten who he was. So I thought that was a really cool little thing, because he was like pretending to be fine in front of Buffy, whereas he was tearing himself apart inside. So that was another clever little thing. And I did enjoy the Xander and Nancy dynamic. I actually think those two would have been quite sweet together, but circumstances, I knew it wouldn't work as soon as Nancy was like, I don't think I could take much more of this after the second attack, because obviously Xander's life is basically that every week. But I did like him being like, I need to get back into the dating scene, I'm just awkward again, and him having those few moments where he like brought up her dead dog, and he was like, oh god damn it. I still hold out a bit of hope for Xander and Anya kind of patching things up, but I don't know if it's kind of too late for that, we'll see. But I did enjoy Xander trying to get the sense of reality back, just as Willow's trying to build a sense of normality back again in her life. Spike's going to be working towards that, now he's got his soul back. And I think Buffy's going to try and do that as well, having Spike around full time again. That's forcing her to kind of process the events of seeing red and kind of that trauma she must have gone through for that. And I think while Spike hasn't been around, she was pushing that away, hoping Spike was kind of like just a figment of her imagination in the last episode. It could be one of the reasons she didn't go back to see him again in the premiere. And the main reason I actually thought it was weird she didn't go back and see Spike in the last episode is because I thought when she found him again, he was all like, "Whoa." I thought she'd kind of realised that he got his soul back then, so that's why I kind of thought that. But clearly she didn't work that out. But I don't mind, because I think this is a much better way of her kind of realising that in that final scene, because it was a very haunting little scene. And I love that whole imagery of Spike in the church and stuff. There's always some really good big epiphanies for like the villain characters in churches in Buffy. It just reminds me a lot of the whole faith thing in Who Are You? When she's like beating herself up, her own body. Like, you murderous bitch, blah 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 blah. Something about people in churches in Buffy and seeing themselves for who they really are and literally fighting themselves. Faith was in Buffy's body fighting her own body, and now Spike's kind of at war with himself internally because of his soul. So some really cool kind of stuff there, and lots of characters being tied together. So yeah, really really great episode, and I can't wait to see where all this is headed now, and the whole beneath you, from beneath you it devours or something like that. And that also reminded me of Cecily and Buffy in Fall for Love telling Spike, you know, you're beneath me, which I thought was kind of neat, because, you know, this is a big episode for Spike as well, and finding potentially a new form of Spike in a way, since he's hopefully shaping into a new, better person with his conscience and his soul. But we'll have to wait and see. And again, I'm going to follow Buffy's lead on how I treat and see Spike in future. But yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic nonetheless, and I'm glad I'm finding Spike an interesting character to watch again with all of this, because, you know, getting to explore Angel with his soul and without his soul in his own show made him infinitely more interesting to me, as opposed to just being the love interest for Buffy, which I think he was for them, you know, in Buffy for the first few seasons. That made me infinitely more appreciate Angel as a character, and maybe they're doing the same with Spike now, because I don't think in any way Buffy and Spike are gonna be romantically drawn to each other, at least not anytime soon, given everything. So maybe that's going to help Spike become super interesting all over again in a different way, which I'm kind of here for if they go that route. But yeah, really, really great episode, really enjoyed it. I hope we see a bit more of also Buffy and her new job. I liked the conversation with her and Wood and the Principal Flea you mentioned. Yeah, the giant worm thing was gross but kind of cool. Nice little action sequence there. I liked the Xander and Nancy kind of thing. Buffy having the dreams about that woman dying, so obviously that's going to be a bigger thing as well. And Spike being taunted not only by himself, but we had him and the big bads in the last episode, so basically he's being attacked from all sides, and I do like that exploration, and that final scene and that speech he gave at the end was really, really great. And yeah, the idea of characters now having a conscience about their actions and the consequences of them, whereas they wouldn't have done like 100 or so years ago. I liked those kind of linking characters. The Willow and Giles scene was really nice. I'm looking forward to Willow coming back. Because, you know, season 6 was kind of about so many characters falling off the wagon and going to their lowest moments. And hopefully this season's going to be about them bouncing back. And I think that's definitely where they're headed with it. So yeah, really, really great stuff. I also loved the scene with Dawn confronting Spike. That was brilliant. And yeah, great, great episode. Can't wait for more from season 7. Off to a very good start with these first 2. And yeah, 20 episodes left. Exciting. And yeah, my next reaction will be to the next episode of Buffy, and then we're starting Angel season 4 after that. So brilliant stuff. Hyped for the rest of this season. Lots of very intriguing elements going on. I like that they seem to have introduced like season-long stuff this early on. You know, normally they like wait for like 4 or 5 episodes in like 22 episode seasons. But I think they're just going to town here, which I'm all for. So really enjoying this season so far, and I can't wait for more. But great episode, and until my next reaction, thanks for watching.